Hello, ladies. Welcome back to another Sports and Mimosas girl chat. Here with Meredith. How are you? Oh, we got our black going on, probably because it's
Oh
been
my
a
goodness,
sad
probably
football season.
to
Oh,
say
week, weekend.
morning my football.
Right. It was not a fun football weekend for me. But we're gonna jump into that. But before we do, I have a question for you. Last week we talked about Taylor Swift and the Swifties kind of taking over the NFL. You know, she went to her first game, her first Kansas City Chiefs game as Travis's guest. I
Last
don't
one.
know. Yeah, I don't know if that's her first game altogether. But then this past weekend on Sunday, the Jets were Sunday Night Football and they played the Jets in New York. So she went to that game, and so it was a big old deal again, or whatever. I always watch Sunday Night Football. My team wasn't playing, but it's just like you have to watch Sunday Night Football.
Right.
But I tweeted after or during that game because it was after number 10, I can't think of his name, on Kansas City Chiefs scored a touchdown, and they panned to Taylor Swift. Like Travis was nowhere around, and they're like showing her getting excited. I don't know if the young lady next to her was the wife or girlfriend of the young man that scored, or if that was her friend there. But anyway, showed her excitement, and I'm just thinking, like, why are we showing Taylor? Like, she is not, this has nothing to do with Travis, you know?
Right.
And so I tweeted, and it got picked up today, and so shout out to the Shade Room for sharing it. But because there was some other stuff going on with Taylor Swift and Giants fans and stuff. But I said, after this game, can we cool the Taylor Swift talk? We welcome the new fans to the game, but let's get back to business. Let her be a fan slash supporter for her boo in peace. So I am just like, I don't want to hear about Taylor Swift's every move, you know, like during the football season when it's on football. We kind of talked about this before. And where the Shade Room was covering is because there was another Seahawks fan that they played the Giants this weekend. Um, and the Giants fans were booing supposedly a Taylor Swift ad. And so he like posted it like the whole Met Stadium is booing Taylor Swift ad, like whatever. And so some of the Swifties on there went after him, like, well, your team lost, not realizing what team he was, and like hey voodoo, and this is what the Giants get for messing with Taylor. But the Giants already sucked way before Taylor even mentioned this. Like, they've not had a good season. But my question is, as a football fan and a Taylor Swift fan, are you tired of the Taylor Swift at the football talk?
Yeah. And I'm not mad at I'm like annoyed with like Swifties finally getting into football because I think like that is a great way to bring girls into the game. But I think I'm not the only one. You can just check social media. Like the NFL is just being annoying about it. Like they're just showing her on like again plays that have nothing to do with her. Every time she goes talks to Mama Kelsey, like everything is just about her. And I think that it's just, I mean, again, I love Taylor Swift and I'm a Swiftie and I can't like, I love going to see her in concert. And I know that she's doing a lot for the NFL right now, but like, as someone who also wants to watch the game, I don't see like and then again, like as someone who has seen history, like some of it has like no point in being like in showing her. Like there has no reason to show her now. And then I think, and I was telling you about this before we press record, like I'm gonna find that on TikTok. I'm gonna find anything else about like it's not that like everyone else turns off their phones, but like the NFL broadcasting is just being like an embarrassing like helicopter mom about it, like everything she does. And it's like get a
Right.
grip. I just want to watch football and
Sports
I think
fans, yeah, are ready. Like, okay, we have a game to play. And
yeah.
Travis has a game to play. Like, shoot, we can't
And like I
be.
think that like and he's been someone who's been very like I think there was a clip about if he was gonna go see her LA show and he even said he goes, look, it was a great show in Kansas City, but like I have a Super Bowl to win. I have a job to do. So like he's very focused on his career that I think, like, again, to talk about like what we talked about last time, like there is a lot of PR and like marketing attached to this, like are they not kind of situation. Um but like at the end of the day, people just want to watch football. And
Right.
I think if you really want to see Taylor Swift, you can resort
You
to
follow.
social media, and I'm sure there's a hashtag for it. And then there's also, for Swifties listening, if you haven't seen, there to add to the PR fire. So and you won't know this, Erin, because you don't follow her like I do. So before Sunday, whenever you would Google Taylor Swift and jets, you would see all the articles in her response to how it was leaked that her jet emits the most like carbon dioxide, like CO2 into the
Mhm.
air, and like basically killing the economy. I mean, killing the environment. And but now when you Google Taylor Swift
A whole other
jets,
jets.
it brings up this. So it's kind of like a whole like, this is all a plan. This is all her marketing. This is all like masking her reputation, which is rumored to
Yeah.
be the next album. So it's been like a very, I think she's having fun with it, but I think like, and I hope I don't come across as like, I don't want to see her having fun. No, I think
No,
no,
yeah.
totally enjoy her time. But I can see that on TikTok. I can see that on Twitter. I can see that anywhere else. I watch Sunday Night Football to watch a game. And like,
Right.
I think showing her like, you know, like I know they do it in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl sometimes, like when you see like celebrities in the game, like treat her like any other celebrity. Like I know that she is a mega billionaire, like
Right.
whatever, but like I'm tired. I want to, as crappy as like the Jets are, show me if
No,
Zach Wilson's going to show up to this game. I want to see that. I don't
right.
care about, yeah. So
Right.
that's my soapbox on it. I think I'm glad that we're getting viewers, but like, and again, I think it's the NFL. I think it's
Yeah. Well,
the
yeah,
NFL is being a helicopter.
they're take yeah, they're taking like and running with it, but I think they're doing too much and they're forgetting who their core
Yeah.
audience is. Like,
Yeah. And
don't
as like a marketer, like as someone who works in
yeah,
marketing, like you can't lose your original
don't try
brand.
to
Like
go after these
you gotta stay
50s who
true.
may
Yeah.
leave if
Yeah.
try to grab the ones that may get interested in it,
Again,
but
this is not a couple. The moment that this couple breaks up, or y'all stop, like
some of those
you're
Swifties
losing
are gonna
them,
go. Yeah.
but other people aren't gonna come because they're, yeah. So
Yeah. So they just need to don't forget your
and
core
again, like the
audience.
Swifties knew where to go to get that content. There's going to be a Swiftie at the game who's going to be uploading on TikTok, and
So
like
that's where
go
you
there
go to get
for the
it if
Taylor
you want.
Swift. The people who want to the Taylor content know where to go to get
Yep.
the Taylor content.
Yep.
Yeah, so
So yeah, I think the bigger story of that game that I would have liked to see more is Mama Kelsey, who had to go to the Philadelphia game and
I
sat
know.
with Jake from
From
State
State Farm.
Farm and then went to the Jets game.
Yeah.
And again, the media kind of pinned Brittany Mahomes. Like there were some funny memes with Brittany and
I know they
um
did not get some photos. The
yeah, they had
photos
some
that
photos, but Brittany was sitting there, didn't look fun, and they didn't look excited, and they were like, "But Taylor does." But if you're a true fan, Patrick had a bad game. Like she is a sports fan, and that's her husband. Like, why is
yeah.
she gonna be cheering? Patrick did not have a good game that game.
No. And
So
Taylor's there again for an appearance. Taylor, like, this has been Britney's world since high school. Like, she,
and
yeah.
that's their career.
Poor
Like,
thing. I feel like the media did her dirty because I'm like, my God, y'all couldn't even crop her out of the
right, this
photo.
is when I don't like the media. But so let's get into my sadness, our sadness, because I want to hear what games I know we had some MLB, the baseball happening, but my football weekend was very stressful. And then I just gave up on everyone. So I'm wearing black, not black for the Raiders, black for Mourning, like you said. First, my USC
Yeah. Yeah.
college, they did come away with the win, but they like gave up so many points in like the fourth quarter, and Colorado could have come back and beat them. It was
No.
just too close. Can you hear me? It's like you're breaking up a little bit.
Mhm.
Okay. But yeah, so that stressed me out because it was like the Green Bay and Saints game all over again for me, that I was like, oh gosh. Um, then watching LSU, that was nerve-wracking. And that was like, oh my gosh, you guys had 49 seconds to hold and they did it. And then going into Sunday, the Saints lose horribly. I think Derek Carr came back too quickly. Like, at least just let Jameis come in. Like, why are you coming back if you're not 100? Like, you shouldn't have done that. But we have a lot of other issues with defense and offense. Just no one was playing really well. And then the Raiders lose. So I was pretty much done. And so, yeah, I was kind of rooting for the Jets though Sunday night, because they did come a little bit close. And I'm like, okay, let's just get a win, Zach. Like, we can root for you, but no, Zach, no. So, did you catch any games? What were did you have any surprises?
So living in the world of trying to like steal your cable from people who have cable, I chose to I went somewhere Saturday night. So we were all watching the LSU game, and it was just I like love our offense. I think Daniels can do such a good job at like doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done. But like our defense let so much happen Saturday night that like I can just remember this one play where it was like they didn't even try to tackle them. Like they just
Yeah.
would like touch them, and it'd be like, what was that? Like, I feel like if I was Brian Kelly, I would just show him that clip and be like, one guy missed, two guys missed, three guys, like when four of your defense, like, what are y'all doing? Why?
Yep.
Your job is literally to stop the guy that's running, and it doesn't even seem like y'all are trying. And so that was really disappointing. Like, I know that we can't win every game right
But they
now, but
had
like to
it.
lose the way that was just I was not happy.
Especially when you
And
go
then
out to watch it and stuff, just that atmosphere, and then it'd be like, well, dang.
yeah, so like I'm going this week, and I like don't even know if anyone's excited. Like I think we're all like when we planned this trip, it was gonna be like, oh, and now I'm like,
Right.
like we'll see. Like maybe defense will show up, maybe not. And so we'll get into it, but Sunday was a big day for MLB. So that is what had my major attention. And it turns out I didn't miss much on the football front because, like you said, the Saints lost in a bad way. I was excited to see that Joe Burrow was back. Despite I think like his calf injury, or like they won last week, I think.
Yeah.
And then he did it
They
like
pulled it off
I don't know
last
what's
week.
going on. And then now like Jamar Chase is like, I'm open, and I'm like, oh, is this like the fall of like
I saw,
the egos
yeah.
or something? And I just kind of feel like and again, I hate that I haven't watched any to see like does Joe just not have enough time because of the O line? Like
I
what's
didn't
going
watch
on? Because I
this
know that
game, but the last game they connected. I mean, I think they
yeah,
barely, if I remember it right, they weren't like
barely
blowing them
won.
out, but
Barely won last
I
year.
didn't watch this one. But I saw when Jamar said that, and I was like, no, best friends, like, don't.
Yes, and so that's why I was like, I don't like this. I don't like. I also just don't think that that's like a good team. Like
To say it
I
out in
think like
front.
don't go on press and say that. I think like that's just kind of like my thing. Like we need to give a united front.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna go to the press and say like I was open, like that's your best friend. Don't like I don't know, I didn't like that.
Do you think he
Um
came back too soon, Joe Burrow, from even though he was hurt
I am kind of
postseason?
nervous. I think he's just like that kind of quarterback. And so I know that there's like no stopping him, but like
Yeah.
I do think they're not I don't know. And I think it's sad to see like the team that went to the AFC championship or the like playoffs, like every year that Joe started strong. And now it's like, well, what are y'all going to do?
Yeah.
So I was really upset about that one. And then I saw the Broncos beat the Bears and
Finally, but the Bears.
like way exactly. Like, but like both of them put up good points. So I was kind of like, I don't know what's
Because
happening
the
here.
Bears haven't won a game, so Broncos should have done a little bit
They
better.
didn't. And there was something that said like if they did lose, there was like a bar in Chicago that would cover everybody's tab. Because they were
Oh,
like,
so
if we
then they're at
lose
least
this
happy.
one, like
Yeah.
yeah, but like it's almost like one of the ones that you didn't want to win. Like, oh man, like thanks for the beer, but my team still lost. But no, I was really excited that the Chiefs versus the Jets game ended up being a good one. Because I know that when the whole thing with like Taylor bringing everybody there, I was kind of like, this isn't even going to be a good game. Like, why are you bringing? Like, I get that she's in New York, so it kind of like, but I expected her to show up because she was in New York, but it was like bringing Ryan Reynolds and Blake Light, like bringing the posse that she brought. I was like, these people are going to be so disappointed because
And I was wondering, I was like, are they Jet fans before
yeah,
or what? Because, like, yeah.
exactly. And then, well, someone even joked that they're like, I think it might have been Elle Duncan, that she was like, all these people are going to be there because of Taylor, and they're going to be watching because of Taylor, and they're going to think that Zach Wilson's like an actual like top quarterback, and they're
I
going to
know,
be.
I did see that, especially when Patrick was doing bad. It was like, oh,
Yes,
it
well,
looks
that
like
was the
Zach.
thing. Like, I guess I think I was. What was I doing Sunday? Probably getting my life together. And I was like checking on my app, and I was reading everything on Twitter. I would like keep up on Twitter because it's like real time.
Right.
And I was like, everyone kept talking about how like bad Patrick was playing. So I was like, I mean, like, how bad is he? And then I pull it up, and I'm like,
He got sacked 3
what?
times, I think.
Yeah. And so, and again, I like Patrick, but I always like to see Patrick overcome adversity because
Yeah.
it
Or
makes it more
they've already
interesting.
won so much. Like,
Yeah. And then, so I'm glad it ended up being a game. And again, I'm glad that Zach Wilson was able to come out and do that. Again, I don't think I don't know what's going to happen to that franchise just because I know that he proved himself. To like
did he?
up
Or
and
they
like
just
do it.
won't?
Well, like Joe Namath like took back what he said about how like they should get rid of him,
Yeah,
and
but did he only do
like,
that because of slack that
no,
people
I think
give? Do you think
no,
he?
I think Broadway Joe doesn't have to do anything that he
Well,
doesn't.
because I feel like Brock. I mean, I was
Um,
about to say Brock. I feel like Zach could be good and he showed good moments, but then he still was like
I
messing
think
up, and
he's
it
a
was like,
typical Daniel Jones where it's like he's not consistent. But again, I give more leadway to Zach Wilson than I do to Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones has the starting job and he has always had the starting job
yeah,
for the
Zach wasn't. He wasn't supposed to be out there.
exactly. Like I do think that he's like still getting used to it. And again, I know that these are pros and whatnot, but I'll have more leniency for my criticisms with Zach than Daniel Jones. And if you watched
Yeah.
anything on Monday, that was I like started watching it while I was like doing laundry, and then I was like, I'm not even watching this game because it's just so bad. Like, and I think
Yeah.
what makes me so upset and like it's just to see these teams that like just stay bad, that you're just like, this isn't like I feel like yeah, everyone in MetLife is going to be mad that Taylor Swift went to the Jets game. It's like at least that was a good game. Y'all don't even put up good games. And I'm going to say this every week until he doesn't. I'm really glad that my little Brock Purdy keeps showing up for the 49ers because he keeps winning.
Yeah, I was like, I have
He's
on
not
my
letting me down. He's not letting me down.
no,
So
on my fantasy football, I have him and Lamar Jackson. I had Lamar in, but I looked and I was like, okay, Brock, I might get you in next week. Because he almost got the same amount of points as Lamar did.
I'm telling you,
So
that's my pick. I want it to be the Saints, but
yeah, we might have to just go ahead and wait.
I think that there's like a hopeful pick and then there's a realistic pick. And I think my realistic pick is going to be my 49ers because not my that sounded weird. The 49ers. I was like, they're not mine. Don't quote me on that.
Carla would love that. My friend
What?
that came,
Really?
Carla, that came on, she's a 49er
That's gonna be
fan.
the clip right there. It's like Meredith said my 49ers.
She's joined you, Carla. She's a 49er for this season.
So I just love that story. And I think that
Yeah.
like, and how do you have this guy who like, I think that that's just kind of the beauty of the game or kind of the pain of the game that you can have someone like you have this situation, like we've talked about for those of you, if this was your first episode listening, Brock Purdy was not supposed to ever be the starting quarterback last year. He was, it took like three
And he
people
was
to
the
get
last
started,
person
like two
picked in the
people.
NFL
Yes,
draft.
last person. And so the fact that like this just shows you like preparation and being able to show up and like find your weapons. I mean, he does have Christian McCaffrey, and who is just like had 4 touchdowns alone the other day, that like he really brings the team together. And then you just have these others who
But
could not rise to the occasion. And it's just kind of like, how many chances do you like? I think about the Giants, and I'm like, is Daniel really your top one? Like, is he really the
well,
best
the
you have
amount
on
the
the
amount
day?
they paid, he is gonna be for.
But like you can still see, and like I think to go back to the Jamar Chase thing, like tensions are getting high, and I
Yeah.
just feel like so last
Well,
night,
because I mean we're going
like
into week 4, and so these your records, count and stuff, and it's
yeah.
just like, okay, let's get this together.
Like, and I think like you could see that the coach for the Giants was getting frustrated with Daniel Jones the other day, and like
Jets
it's
coach
just
though, I'm like, that man is so freaking stressed because again, they
his
had the
life,
system,
his career changed.
and now he's just stressed. Although they did get some bad calls from the refs too, like I
Oh
think
yeah,
towards that end, but you could just see, like, I bet you he just wants to just curse like everyone out because it's so stressful. But you said, okay, Brock wasn't supposed to necessarily start last year or this year, be their quarterback, but he has done it. Neither was Zach, but Zach isn't stepping up like Brock. But he's not as talented, possibly,
exactly.
as Brock. But it's just like, come on. The one thing I didn't like about Zach this game, at the end he messed up, and he's on the sideline and his team's consoling him because he's like, it's my fault, it's my fault. Now he wasn't crying, and if guys cry, that's fine. I don't think there's crying in football. I'm a big baby and stuff, but I don't play football either.
Right.
um but I was just like, don't sit there and say it's your fault, like there where the TV's on you, because you're going to be judged. And it's like, hold it together. But it was almost like,
I like
man, I
that
feel
because I
sorry
think
for
that
me.
that shows him. I think I like it because I think that shows that he is aware of the criticism and he is aware of
But I
what
think you still need to be
going.
cool. Like, you don't see Bryce Young, like, you don't, there's certain quarterbacks, not that Bryce is doing bad, but when
Bryce
they're
is doing
lose,
bad.
well,
The
yeah,
Panthers
yeah.
have.
Well, and that was their loss to the Giants. Was the Panthers lost to the Giants. I think that's the Giants' only
I don't think
win.
the
So
Panthers have won a lot.
no,
Yeah,
but
I was like,
I'm not.
that
I'm
might not be
saying that
your
he's
example
not
right
a that
now.
he's not a good quarterback, because I think Bryce is probably a better quarterback than Zach in the end. But I want him to be more cool about it and just like not show that emotion. But I get what you're
I'd
saying
much
too.
rather, but see, I much rather that than have like an asshole
Well, no, he doesn't have to be an
who
asshole,
isn't
but
good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I also think it's just kind of like not to get, gonna try not to go down that path, but like, I feel like if he didn't show any remorse, everybody would be like, oh, he doesn't care. Like,
true.
and I feel like, I don't know, I kind of just feel like poor, like, I don't say poor kid, but like, dude, just, and then to be that close, man, like, I think like you're
Yeah,
beating, you were so close with the Super Bowl like winners. Like, like I think
I know. That's why I was rooting for
like
him.
a
I was
part of
like, come
me was
on,
just kind of
Zach.
like to be that close. And I do think that like,
Yeah.
I think, and he has a young team. Like, I think that guy, like pumping him up and stuff. I'd much rather that than him being like, who I
Yeah.
want to show some freaking emotion, Daniel Jones. And he's just like, I don't know. I just keep getting sacked. And it's like, why do you keep getting
He
sacked? Like,
better he
why?
better fix his answers, because that defense is
Like,
not gonna
or like you
protect
could
him for
just tell
sure.
that like I don't know, like, and again, I didn't watch
Yeah.
a lot of the game, but like that coach was just like, he like threw a pick six, like he threw a pick six in the end zone, and it was like,
It just
bro,
seems
like
like,
I can only like, and I feel like coaches are probably like, bro, I can only do so much, but like you have to
and
go out
then,
there and do stuff. So I think like, I
and it
know that
is more
Aaron is
stressful for
tougher,
that.
but I think like if he was tougher, it would almost come off as apathetic. Like I feel like there
It
it's
could.
like emotional, apathetic, or like I feel like you can only be
Well, and I'm
perceived
just
as
saying,
cool if
like
you're
you,
winning. Like I
I
think
think
like
you can
Patrick Mahomes
show.
looks cool because he's winning. Joe Burrow sometimes looks cool when he's winning. Like I feel like you can only be
Well, but
perceived as
my
cool.
thing too, I don't see Joe on the end like it's my fault, it's my fault. It just looked like pathetic. Like feel
I think
sorry
that's such
for
a
me.
strong word. I
Huh?
think it's such a strong word.
Pathetic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the picture I saw. So I'm not saying that he is pathetic. It was just how it made it like, oh, woe is me kind of thing. And that's why I'm like, say that for the locker room between y'all. Like the cameras were like all in his face. He's like, it's my fault. It's my fault. And you like see the guys like right there. And it's kind of like, just step up and be the leader. Like Aaron's not
Wait,
going to
did
be
he say
like,
this in an interview or was he on the
no,
side?
it was on the sideline.
No, I think it's pure conversation to be like, like, I mean, I've been a
No,
sports
it's the
person that
way
I'm
it
like,
was the way it looked though, is what I'm saying. It wasn't
yeah,
like, man, that's my bad, you know? It was it's my fault and the team around like it's okay or something. Like
mhm.
I'm not saying he can't do that because I would do that and I like to be boosted up. I'm just saying like when you have to step in and be the leader, he has to be the leader now, one of the leaders. And then you're just like, it's my fault. Like it's no, own it and y'all go talk about it in the locker room. And
Mhm.
again, he wasn't trying to do that for the camera. The camera's just gonna find your face, and that's where it's like, don't do stuff on the sideline because they're looking for you, the
He's just
cameras and
looking for
stuff.
the human. I just try
So
not
it's
to.
the way just looking at it. No, and I'm not judging him. It's just I just wish he didn't do that out there because of the optics for it. And it's like just save that for the locker room. But no diss to him
Mhm.
at all. Like I was rooting for him. I wanted him to win. Because again, I don't want the Chiefs to win
Yeah.
again. And that would have been another one of that first Monday night football game that we watched
Mhm.
when the Jets came through. So that's what I'm saying. So yeah,
Yeah.
pathetic is a strong word, but that's like the picture of it, like sad little boy type deal. I'm not saying he's a boy, but I'm just
Mhm.
saying that's the
Yeah.
image that I got. Not calling him a boy by any means. He does have a young face, but
He does have the image.
I'm not calling him that. But um going into to baseball, I'm kind of like out of the New York thing. So just no one in New York is pretty much happy if you're a
No,
sports fan.
I know that's what
Um
Aaron and I were thinking about how, so just about almost every sport that we're familiar with has two New York teams,
mhm.
and none of them are doing well because neither, and both of them were like projected to be great. Well, not football, but baseball
Well, they were
has
one of
both
them.
the Mets and the Yankees, and neither of them had a good season. I think this is the worst season for the Yankees in a very, very long time. And then the Mets started with like huge contracts and like big projections, and it all just fell apart. So, and then we just talked about their football team. So,
So I
um,
will say to go back from the New York though, the WNBA, the Liberties are New York. They're in
yeah,
the
me
finals,
too.
so they're doing well. So go ladies for
Yeah,
keeping New York fans.
say carrying it all on your
They
back.
are, yes, they play the Aces on October 8th though, and I do like Vegas Aces, so ooh. But yes, so at least they have the WNBA
Yeah,
doing
they're
well.
getting attention.
So they got that going on. So talk to us. Hopefully we have a better NFL weekend coming ahead. Thursday night football starts off week 4. I think we're on, but we're getting into baseball. You kind of talked about it. Tell us where we're at with that. I know
So
we're
right
back at it,
now
but what's going
we
on?
are in the wild card. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the MLB, this year, they kind of opened the wild card to be more, or like more qualifying teams. So we have two, let's see, I'm gonna pull it up just because it was, so to give you a background, every morning last week I would be Googling MLB playoff picture.
Because you were
Because
worried
yes,
last
the
show about
Astros, we did, first of all, Astros were projected to be in wild card, but they were playing, it was, y'all, it was awful. And then we were about to play the Diamondbacks, who had clinched their wild card spot. So it was kind of like they want to move up too, like both of them. It wasn't like nobody was just like, oh well, no one that I was really watching had really like confidently gone into the postseason being like, oh, we're set.
except for
So
the
right,
Dodgers.
well,
I'm
the ones
watching
I was
them.
watching, I was not
No,
watching.
I know. I'm just saying I was
I don't need
watching.
to watch them. Uh,
It's okay. We
okay.
got it over here.
Well, I'm glad that they finally made it, because last year they didn't make it. But right now there's the wild card. So, I watched the Toronto versus the Toronto Blue Jays played the Twins this afternoon, and the Twins walked away with a 3-1 victory. It ended just before we started this, and then Texas and Tampa Bay played, and I can't remember who won. But it should be, I think it's best of 3, because I know that the Astros start Saturday. So I think it's
Yeah.
whoever wins at least twice. So whoever wins of the Blue Jays and the Twins would go and play the Astros, and whoever wins of the Texas Rangers and Tampa Bay will play the Orioles. And I really am going for an Astros versus Orioles ALCS, which is the stop before the World Series.
Mhm.
For the American League. So I'm really excited to see how this unfolds. This is where it gets to be really stressful for me, because
I remember last season.
yeah, my sister and I are very we text each other every day with like memes or like articles or just things that like we think the other person needs to know. We have a weird superstition that if one of us goes to take a bath in the middle of a game, something big will happen. So we have literally been like, hey, it's your turn to go take a shower. But something's happened every time. So it's like, okay, it's only weird if it doesn't work.
Hey, you got to keep it going.
Yes. And then for the National League, the Arizona Diamondbacks are playing the Brewers right now, and then the Miami Marlins are playing the Phillies right now. And so whoever wins of the Phillies Marlins will play the Atlanta Braves, and whoever wins of the Diamondbacks and Brewers will play the Dodgers. So I'm very curious to see. My National League pick will probably be the Phillies, but I am excited to see the Brewers. And I
The your
think the
national out
Dodgers,
of everything or just out of the
for
wild
that side,
card?
for that side,
Out of the
like for
wild card
the
though?
National League.
Oh, all
I
together for the
want,
national.
yeah, I think the Brewers and the Phillies I want to win in the wild card round. And then
Mhm.
I don't like Atlanta, so I will be cheering for the Phillies then.
That's where we agree because I don't like Atlanta either.
Yeah, like, and again, I think about like having to cross that baseball field off my list, and I'm like, do I just like get it over with and like go next year, just like a weekend to like, I'm like, or is it going to be the one that like I'm dreading and it be my last one? And I'm like, I don't want it to be my last one, but it's like,
Uh,
when do I do it? So, but the Braves have been
yeah,
like the hot shot all year. But we've said it before that
yeah,
sometimes other teams get hot at the end of the year, and it's
yeah.
all about when you get hot. So it's like, and they've had a break for a while. Like I feel like,
Well, and clearly in baseball, because like you were so nervous last week that you weren't going to make it, and y'all are number 2 seed. Like you made it because anything can happen. Like
so
it's not
everyone,
over
yeah, because there was an
until.
article today, I think on The Athletic, that basically Astros postseason started 7 days ago. Like they were already in playoff mode
Mhm.
when everybody else was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that that's gonna work to their advantage, a lot of rest and whatnot. So this is like my favorite time. I'm a big
Mhm.
baseball fan, and again, it's like one of the ones that I don't know if anyone remembers last year, but like the first game in postseason for Astros was against the Mariners, and the Mariners came out. Verlander just didn't have a good pitching game. Mariners got on the board, and literally bottom of the ninth, Yordan Alvarez hits a grand slam and comes back and wins the game. So it's really one of those
Yep, you
sports
never know.
where it's like, if it's like within 4 runs, anything, like I just tell everybody, I'm like, anything can happen. Like it's never safe unless it's like a 9-run lead. Like
No.
I don't believe anything until
Shoot, sometimes I guess it could only be that Angels game where they scored like 27 to
right.
something or something like that. Like then you're safe. But yeah, like you get hot, like 1 or 2 batters, and if your bases are loaded, like that pitcher just goes down, you could catch up easily
So that's all
in
it
one
takes. And
inning.
so it's just a one pitch or a like a, and I know that they like refuse to say this, but there was that game last year during the World Series against the Phillies where it was believed that Lance McCullers was tipping, and that's like when every person was hitting the home run off of him, like from Bryce
Right. I
Harper,
remember you
Alec
saying
Baum,
that.
and everything. But then the next day, Astros threw a no hitter, and they couldn't get anything off of a pitcher, and it was like
What?
24 hours ago, y'all were slamming them, and then like
And
the next
now, yep.
day, just never. I really love it. I know that football is like, I think football is more of a like contact sport, so you kind of like to watch
Yeah.
for like the magic that way, like who's going to make a big catch, and like, but I think sometimes you can just have like a really cool, like I kind of like with baseball, you can have a really cool hit or a really cool catch. Like last year,
Yeah.
Chad Mick had this
Well,
like majestic catch that like no
yeah.
one thought he was going to. So like I just feel like there's like 2 sides of things whenever you're
Yeah. Well,
watching
it's
baseball.
definitely more exciting. I think like Coach Maneri, Paul Maneri, who used to be the coach for the LSU Tigers baseball,
Mhm.
like he would always say, and Coach Kadar, who was the coach of the Southern University baseball, is how like sport baseball is such a life like lesson sport. Like you learn so much, and how the resilience of coming back like the next night, like you lose, but that next day, like you have to come back and it's a whole new game. So you have to forget football, you, and even basketball, you may not necessarily play the next nights. Like it might be a night in between. You have a week for football to recover. Like baseball, like no, it's go to
I
bed, wake
think
up, and
what
it's
is,
a new
yeah.
game, and you can win. You can be hot that game, and they could
Like, again,
not.
what happened to LSU this year, how like we had that
Yeah.
terrible game and then the next day. No, and I always just think about like the mental strength that
Yep.
it takes for baseball, because like both with basketball, hockey, football, anytime like you're on defense, you can still get the ball. Like you
Mhm.
can still control the score. But like if you're in the middle of an inning and you're on the field and they just keep getting home run after home, you still have to finish that inning. Like there's no way that
Yeah.
you can just be like,
And you can't
oh,
necessarily
like
stop them, like maybe
you
the
still have to get
pitcher,
3
but
outs. You still
yep,
have to get like there's so much out of your control. So to
yep,
be like, okay, we just have to get through this inning. We just have to get through this. Like I think as an athlete, like just have like again, like if you're
yep,
a defense and you're like on a football, if you're defense on the football team, you're like, I just need an interception, and like this can change in a like in a minute. Like
yep.
with baseball, you're like first pitch and it's a home run. You're like,
Shit, 2 more
great.
or
Like,
3
go
more
get him.
because I got to
Yes,
get 3
like
outs.
exactly. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't go in the dugout now. Like, I gotta still stay out here. So,
But that
yeah,
mentality, that mental part too, to be able to push the
yeah,
negative away from the day before. That was yesterday. It's a new game. Don't let it sit on you. And I mean, I think we can take that away out of life too. When you have a bad day, like put all that aside. It's a new day. Come out and
that's
you can
actually what
rock.
golf has taught me. Golf has
Hmm.
taught me that a lot. I was having that conversation with someone the other day, because my golf instructor explained to me that, and he also like told me to read this book, and it's called Golf is Not a Game of Perfect, and I haven't like officially finished it yet, but
Hmm.
basically like 30 pages left. That it's it's such a sport that like it really is like one day you can have like an awesome, like this weekend for example, I played like the first 9 at Santa Maria, and it was like I would have like a really great hole. Like there was, I almost got my first birdie, and I was so, like, I texted my dad, and I was like, oh my god, it like skimmed the hole, and it would have been a birdie and everything. And then, but like I was so proud to get like par on that hole, and then the very next hole, it was like I stopped keeping score. I was like, this is awful. But like you kind of had to,
You have to
my
get your mind
instructor always
back.
like how always had to train me like you're going to another hole after this.
Yeah.
Like you have another hole, you have another chance, like it doesn't end here. And so
Right.
like, and then because I would always because it was before I got used to being able to like practice golf and keep doing it over and over. I always just felt like it had to be perfect. And I felt like, because I don't know the next time I'm coming and like what, like I wanted to make it count. And my instructor was like, no, like you got to stop doing that to yourself because you're just going to come back next week. Like you're just going to come
Right.
like you're not like this is not the last time that you're going to do this. This doesn't have to be that pressure. And I do feel
Yeah.
like and I'm in sales. So like there are days where I'm like, yeah, I didn't have any sales today, but like
But
I'm
there's
coming back
tomorrow.
tomorrow
Yep.
and like I'm only this X amount away from my goal. So like, okay, like it has just been this is a very weird
Yeah.
to just talk about how like sports really apply
No,
to.
but it does. You can learn life lessons. I think playing it, but then I think also observing it because I don't play
Mhm.
um any sport, but I learn from like my favorite athletes or the ones that are resilient and come back and do that. And then you even just taking it, you don't play on a professional level, but you're still getting that same aspect that a professional person would get because that's just what sports does. Like it teaches us, it brings us together, like we always say, is why we started this, but it also just teaches you life lessons, and I think it's great. I think every kid should play when you're little something, like, even if you don't wanna go on further, I think it just does set you up, um, for some good life lessons, but, yeah, I think those are the 2 definitely golf, like, I didn't think about that, but, like, yeah, you don't have time to wallow in whatever it is, and just
Yeah.
like baseball, you have to come back, and so that's just building you to be like, "Okay, this happened. Okay, yay for me. Now back."
And it's
Or,
such a
"Oh, man,
humbling
back."
sport because you're just
Yeah,
like, oh, I think I can do this. And then like guys, y'all can like have this putt lined up and everything, and it can do exactly what you want it to do. And it just like last minute, just
and I think
you're
with that and, like, baseball, like, you have to take into consideration the world around you, because if the wind and all that, you can't control that,
yeah.
So it's like, what do you do? What can you control? And
You're like,
so
okay, great, great. Character building, woohoo.
but, yeah, so we got that starting again. I think you said that the playoffs actually start on Saturday, I mean, on this
So
weekend?
it's already
Sunday?
wild card is already
Well, wild
happening.
card,
Yeah.
but once every
And then
like,
that
the
should be wrapped
foreshore
up
stuff.
by Thursday.
Mhm.
And then they all travel to do like the real, I mean, not
The
right now, it's not real, but like
Well,
see the
yeah, I think that's
I think that there's also, let me look up because I know that
everyone's not playing. So when I'm
I'm
saying
trying
like
to
the
think of
real
how many
postseason,
number
it's
like I'm trying
everyone.
to think of how many times you have to play. Because like right now I think it's like best of three. So as long as like if you win two tomorrow,
You're
like if
good.
like who won today, like if the Twins win tomorrow, they're done. So then they'll get
Yeah,
like
you
two
don't have
weeks
to
to
go
play.
through.
And then yeah, so let me see what the next round is though. So Saturday is when the Astros play. And then let's see, game two, game three. There's at least a game three. And oh, so game four if necessary. So it must be three, three, and then I know it gets like
To 5 or
the
something.
next one I think is five. Because then
Yeah.
the next World Series is seven.
Yeah,
So
so it must
it's
get
like
closer.
yeah,
Because I think basketball does that.
yeah.
Like it gets when it gets down to
Get
that, or
closer,
it
there's
did.
more. Because I
Yeah.
remember I do feel like last year we had to get to the Yankees to get to the World Series, I think. And I was like, why do we have to keep playing?
Well, this year you don't. So
I know.
when you
It was
make
just
it
so sad
there.
because I really like the Orioles. I really like their stories. So I'm like, I don't want to have to
Well,
play the
you got
Orioles. Like
Brock.
I want to see the Orioles, but I'm like,
Oh,
like yeah, like I kind of and it's
you
cool
don't
to
want to
see
go
like, oh,
against
I've
them.
seen both of them play this year. That's kind of cool. And then I know I've kind of like
Well,
seen
maybe next year for them.
right, yeah.
Unless you guys don't make it
It's
this year,
kind
and
of
then
like
you're like, no.
I think I could be very wrong, so no one quote me, but I remember like so the Astros won in 2017 and it was technically predicted that they would be ready to win 2018 so that they beat it. And I think the Orioles are like doing better than expected. Like, I think
Mhm.
next year was like that when they were supposed to be at their caliber, and I think they're there now. So I think it's kind of just cool to, and again, I'm glad that the Dodgers are back. I like having a
So am
mixture of
I.
the teams. So
So am I.
that's baseball. That's
Yeah. And
the
then we
time
got
where I'm not gonna be able to go to sleep at any normal time.
your stressful time. I remember that and finding a spot to watch, because when they start, that's the only bad thing about baseball, because they play during the day sometimes and you're like, wait, it's not
I
just a
still
night game or
remember
something.
I still remember there's like one time it was opening day and my neighbor pitches, and it was like, it was so weird. Like when you know like when you know the player, it's like a weird thing. And it's not like he's a right fielder or anything, like he's a pitcher. So he like does something
Front
the
and
whole
center.
game.
Yeah.
Like the whole inning is him. And you're just like, this is very stressful. I don't know how his mother does this, because it was just very, but like I
I
remember
know,
being
knowing
in my
someone.
office being like watching, and I was like supposed to be working, but I was like, I'm watching this opening, like,
Good thing
but
phones show the games now so that we can
right.
watch them anywhere. Because that's how it is, like March Madness for
Yeah.
basketball, because they go on during the
Wild.
day. But yeah, so we got basketball too coming. So we'll get into that next time. Because there's some stories start to come out. We briefly talked about it beforehand. Ben Simmons for the Nets. I know that's not one of your favorites, but he says he's back. So we're gonna see who is back and what's gonna go on in the next couple
Never there
weeks.
to be back. Like I just feel he
Well,
never should.
for basketball with here in New Orleans in Louisiana, I'm interested in seeing Zion because I'm a Zion's fan from Duke
What
and
is
him
the
being
basketball
back. So
doing?
I'm interested to see. He says he's ready too, I believe. So we'll see in
Well,
a
he
couple
has to
weeks.
make some money because he has all those women to take care of.
And at least one baby coming. So we'll see, because again, basketball is coming back at the end of the month. I think like the 24th. This is starting, so it's a great time. Fall is always great. So
Sometimes, as long as it's
yeah,
good to watch, but
yeah,
that's a little bit
not
of
like this
sanity.
weekend. Well, at least you had baseball,
I know it
but
was very like,
football
again,
wise,
like,
no.
yeah. And I think like, to not to go back to it, but I didn't allude to it. It was just, again, watching this really weird chart that like the Astros had to win and the Mariners had to beat the Texas
Yeah, when
Rangers.
you have to think about more than
And
one
then
thing for
I
it,
think the
yeah,
Toronto, I don't think it mattered what Toronto did, but like I think where Toronto lost or won placed them either in front of the Rangers or behind the Rangers. Like it was just this whole like chart that I'm gonna pull it up because like
yeah, that stuff
so
can be
the Rangers
so
were playing,
stressful.
yeah, because the Rangers were playing the Mariners, who were both people who like would affect where the Astros
Mhm.
like would do. And then hold on, let me see if I can pull it. Oh, and it was like if the Mariners win one time, sorry, you can't see it, but like
We can
it
see
was
the
like
little
if the
yellow.
Astros mean 0 and the Mariners win, it would like tell us where the Astros were ranked. And then it was like if the Astros win 1 and the Mariners win 1, 2, or 3, like it was this whole thing. So I had to like send it, and this like line right here is like me saying, telling my sister, I'm like, this is where we are. We have
As
won,
long as we
and the
stay.
Mariners have won. So this is what we do. So we need to get here. Like
So it's like you couldn't just watch your Astros. You
no.
had to watch everyone else
Yes,
to
like we
make
had to keep
sure.
up with like,
Yeah.
because again, if that went, oh my God, guys, I'm so glad we're past it. But like,
Yeah, that's stressful when you got to pay attention to someone else's. That's why you do sometimes just want your team to be great. Like if we get down
we
football
had
wise with the
we had done
Saints, we're
this for a
not.
long time. We had like clinched it
Yeah.
several times. Like, and if you follow me on Twitter, I was like every morning I'm looking at the MLB playoff picture, and I need the Astros to never do this to me ever again, because I've never had to do this. Like
Stress.
we just have made it, and now I'm like, what is
Like
this?
I need you guys not to give me
Like, do y'all do
postseason
this ever? Like, do you?
postseason stress or
Yeah,
post
no.
playoff stress again.
And again, to be here, like where it's just so football heavy, I am like, not now, not now. Like, we have
Yeah,
less of
because
the months for that. I don't know. Like,
yeah, Louisiana, your baseball is over
yeah,
when the Tigers are done, when
pretty
LSU is
much.
done. So it's all football. So
Yeah.
yeah. But
Well, I'm very excited to
well,
talk about it.
we're both two in baseball, Dodgers and the Astros again. So maybe we'll see each other. Well, no, you want the Phillies, so you're not even going from mine
No,
to.
but no, they don't. Because the
Thought you said
Phillies
the
have to
Phillies are
get
in
to
mine.
Atlanta. The Phillies have to go to Atlanta before they ever would face the Dodgers.
I know, but you said you wanted Phillies for the
On
NL.
that little rant, like,
Oh, that rep. I thought you meant
you
all
know,
over.
either way, it'd be a rematch for the Astros because they played
Whoever
Phillies
gets
last
it.
year, and then yeah. So like,
Well, maybe we'll have another game together.
he said, I think if the Astros have to face the Dodgers, I feel like we have to go somewhere.
Yeah, that's what. Oh, we were hoping for that for last season, but the
And it was
Dodgers.
like they didn't make it. And we're like, sorry.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should just pray that the Braves get out. We'll just be
That's
hopeful
really
for ours,
like
but we
that's
should
where
just
we just
send our prayers for the Braves to get
I
out.
like I will always get behind that. Like whatever
And
God
then
wants to
we
do with anything else, okay. But
first focus on them, guys.
that's
Go sit
exactly where I'm
down.
like, if it's the Baltimore versus the Braves, I'm Baltimore all the way. Like
Yes.
whoever
Whoever is against the Braves, that's who you guys cheer for, okay?
who was it? There was like a bumper sticker in high school, I think for my cousin's school, but it was like in this situation, it would be like my two favorite teams are the Astros and whoever's playing the Braves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's
Yeah.
like that's
That's gonna be us this postseason.
yes, I think we
Dodgers,
should get
Astros,
behind
and
that.
then whoever else is playing the Braves at the time.
Yeah, no,
But thank you for coming and chatting again. I
absolutely.
think we had some good conversations.
Good
We don't always
conversation.
agree, but
Yes.
great conversation. We hope to have a better football weekend for next show that we can talk about some things going on there and then some news in baseball. But tune into sports this weekend. Follow along, learn something new. Swifty fans, join us. But yeah, thanks guys for joining, and we will see you guys next week.
Woo-hoo.
Bye.